Hey everyone, welcome to Small Group. I'm here with Alita.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. Nice to be here.
You would know very well that over the last months even, we've been talking about small groups sending in pictures
Oh, yes.
of their groups. We've had different size picture frames. We've been displaying them. And when we were on together a while back, I made a comment. I'm like, what if someone made a poster?
Yeah, I thought it was a throwaway comment, but
No, I mean, in some ways it was, but you know, I also say things like that
Yeah.
in hope that it'll come to fruition somehow.
Yes.
And Kevin from Colleen's small group has made a poster. It is Avenger themed of their small group.
it's
Different
amazing
members.
is what it is.
Yeah, it's awesome. Different members are different characters. Ariel is the Scarlet Witch,
Yeah.
and she looks really intimidating in
Yeah.
this.
You look
photo.
awesome, Ariel.
It's definitely boss.
And look at Annie, baby Annie.
they
She's Thanos.
They made baby Annie Thanos.
I
mean,
know. She's still cute. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
doesn't-
She's still cute.
doesn't give me villain vibes.
No, she's too sweet. Look
No.
at that face.
Colleen, who pastors the group,
Yeah.
is the Black Widow,
Oh. Okay.
which
I
I
see
like that
that.
movie. So, anyways, this is, Kevin put this together. It's awesome. We probably won't commit to having it up every week. It overshadows all the other photos
a little
too
unfair.
much, but we love that it's there.
It'll be on
Very
rotation.
Fun. Yeah, very fun. So thanks for doing that. And thanks to Matt for dropping it off.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Hey, the last time I was on, we were talking about Philippians because we were still in that series.
Yeah.
And it's now wrapped, which a little bittersweet. Like it was a great series to have gone through. And we spent a lot of time even prepping for that. And I hope if you didn't already get a book that you are able to grab one. And now we have launched into a new series. And so how about you kind of fill us all in on what
Right.
that series is?
This one doesn't have a devotional guide to go along with
Is
it.
it
Sadly.
too late?
It's
do
a
you wanna
little.
just
It's a
throw one?
bit late. It's a bit late. But this series is looking at why we gather as a church and why we do what we get. Why we do what we do
Yeah.
when we gather as a church. That's a
I
hard
got it.
sentence
It is a hard.
to say.
I was there with you. We all were.
Yeah, I started that sentence not quite knowing where it was going.
Yes, we all do this.
But we
sometimes.
found it. I'll give you this thought experiment, though.
Okay.
Imagine someone said to you, hey, I want you to shovel sand into this bag.
Okay.
And once the bag is full, here's another bag. Shovel sand into this bag, fill it up, and just keep doing that. It wouldn't be too long before you asked, why am I doing this? Like, why am I doing this repetitive action? What's the purpose behind it? But let's say I said to you, hey, you're shoveling sand into these bags to make sandbags that are going to protect houses, homes from rising floodwaters. All of a sudden, the same actions of shoveling sand repetitively into a bag take on a whole new meaning and purpose. You would engage the task with more devotion and energy. And that's really the difference that the why can bring. The reason behind what you're doing, the routine
Yeah.
can bring that kind of meaning and purpose. And
Good.
so this series is going to look at, hey, why do we gather on Sundays as a church? When we gather, why do we do communion every week? Why do we sing
Yeah.
corporately? Why do we hear scripture taught? Why do we engage in prayer?
Right.
We're going to explore all of that
And every
stuff.
week it'll be like a new question that we're kind
Exactly.
of exploring. Okay.
This week was more like, why do we gather at all? And then in following weeks, it'll look into the things we do when we gather.
Okay.
And it's cool because you can find letters going all the way back to the 2nd century from people like Justin Martyr. And they talk about what Christians did on the Lord's Day. And it's stuff like public reading of scripture, public prayers, communion, hearing a message, a sermon. Things we're still doing today. And it's pretty powerful
love
to
that.
see yourself connected to that type of history and legacy of faith. And so this is going to be a shorter video for small groups.
Okay.
But one of the things they're going to talk about is, why they gather, why they go to church. And I thought I'd ask you that. You've got kids, weekends are hectic. Why do you make it such a rhythm in your family's life to
Yeah.
gather on Sundays?
It's a good question. It's good to think through why we do the things that we do, the things that are habits in our lives. So for me, going to church on Sundays, I grew up in a pastor's home. My dad's a pastor. So I just grew up. It was just the way of life, the rhythm in our family. And it was like nothing else was allowed to happen on Sunday mornings. It was one of those kind of families, no sports, you know, like if I had friends spend the night on Saturday night, they had to go to church with me they didn't have to, but they were invited. We didn't force anybody. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But we invited them to come. It was always part of the invitation. And I think they liked coming. I always saw it as like, and you get to come to church with me. Like, don't you want to?
I love that attitude.
I know. I don't know what my parents did exactly to foster that, but
Did they promise like McDonald's after?
no, it was just like long, arduous Sundays because pastor's kid, you had to wait. That felt like forever to go to
Right.
lunch afterwards. Anyways, but I loved it. I loved going to church. I learned very early on. I think I was just in a healthy community where it felt like family. And my best friends were at church because they became my best friends, just by the rhythm of going. And so that was my initial experience. You went because this is what our family does. And then you become a young adult and then you get married and you have your own kids. And then you do process through, why are we doing this? And as I came to read, I think when I read Acts as an adult and I saw how the early church had to learn what it was to follow Jesus as kind of sort of, I don't know if fumbling their way through is the right language to use, but kind of learning what it meant to be a gathering body of believers around the personhood of Jesus Christ. What did that look like for them? What rhythms were they adopting? And one of the things that they did is they gathered together regularly and they prayed. And you see the fruit that came from that. And if you don't know, read Acts. It's so beautiful. And that for me was enough to go. And then also reading about church history, you see that, like you were saying earlier, this is what our church fathers have done for so long, and it's enabled the baton of faith to be passed forward. So I think for our family, it's just, and I'm talking about now my husband Ryan, and for our 4 children, it has just been a non-negotiable from the beginning. Sundays for us, whatever we go to church, whether it's Sunday morning, Sunday night. I think in our life back in Alabama, there were some Saturday night church services. Whatever time we took to go and be with other like-minded believers, it was a stake in the ground moment for us to, not just for ourselves, to go to worship and to hear the word, but also to be around other people who believed the same things, because it can feel very lonely. It can, I mean, the Christian faith in a large city can feel isolating at times, and you need to be reminded that you're not alone and that we're running a worthwhile race and that Jesus is the prize. And Sundays for us, or church community for us, has been where we found that, where we gather with one another. So that was a long answer, but to be fair, I could keep going, but I will stop so you can answer it your own way.
Well, people will get to talk a lot about their own thoughts on that same question. And I imagine someone saying or thinking, well, church is not a place we go, it's a people we are. And that is, of course, true. But really, this series is about why do we gather as the church and why do we do what we do. And so I think it's a good series if you're new to church, new to faith, and church is a really exciting new rhythm in your life. I think it's a good series if you're wondering, will church be in your future? Maybe you're about ready to quit on church. I think it could be helpful if you're in that place. And then I think if you've been in church for like 30 years and it's baked into your bones and it's just routine, to take a step back and to reflect on the why will be really helpful. And so we're excited about the conversations that are going to happen in the future and also tonight. And so we've got discussion prompts for you, and we'll throw to discussion leaders now.